Yes, if you tell me, I will tell them that Tell Me is on.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell Me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows, and then there is Tell Me, your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain, and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all human leaders to rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp or from the diaspora 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay. 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM. The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020 Vision Radio.com or its advertisers.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Tell Me. We are at show 985. Believe it or not, show number 985 on Tell Me. So we will be bringing up show number 1000, I guess, sometime in October of this year. And we'll be having some fun when we bring up show number 1000. Remember, if you want to sponsor something for that very special night, you can do so. And we want to make some people happy on that particular night. So I'm here to say good evening and welcome to Tulu and Dr. Daly. Tulu, how are you?
I'm doing good as usual. Special good evening to Lynette Liber and also to the clan of the Swanstons, and that of Brother Philip, Romello, Rhonda. How is Rhonda doing?
I spoke to her this week. She's good.
My sister Sylvia, Helena, my niece Mavis, pretty girl Joyce, Lavanda, and the Bayou. Good evening, one and all. Welcome.
Joyce is the one who I haven't spoken to in a long time, so I'm going to have to find her wherever she is hiding. Dr. Daly, how are you?
Good evening, Carlisle. I'm well, thank you. And of course, good evening to Tulu and all those who have joined us for another Thursday evening of Tell Me from downtown Charlestown. Wishing my brother well, my brother Hugh down in St. Croix, my brother Denny and his lovely wife Trilla up in New York, my brother Steve in California, and my two sisters, Eva and Judith, up in Connecticut. Of course, my brother Carl down there in Atlanta. But let me say good evening to my good friend Max up there in Westbury. And of course, all those who have joined us on the FM dial, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And we, of course, welcome your input as usual. And so sit back, relax. We're going to have a wonderful evening.
Absolutely. A lot of topics that we have to get to, and including some that we left off last week. Just very quickly as we open though. I'm a man, I like to, when I'm in my vehicle, I scroll through the channels to find out what's happening on different radio stations. I'm hearing Culturama ads on all of the stations in St. Kitts and on the other station here in Nevis. But Culturama committee has decided that they won't spend not a cent with 2020. I think it's unfortunate because Culturama is inclusive, and even if they deem that 2020 seem to voice opinions which irritate their spirit and irritate the whatever evil they have in, they still expect people from the other side, if they deem us to be on the other side. Let me put up my hand, I'm on the other side. But they still expect people from the other side to patronize Culturama. But they decide not to spend a single cent with 2020 Vision Radio. And it's not that we don't have listeners. We have a whole heap of listeners. But the government has made it clear that they're not spending a single cent with 2020 to advertise Culturama 50.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised, but it irritates me. It upsets me. Especially when you look at some of these people, and some of them go to church every Sunday and say they praise the Lord and hallelujah and amen, and they're just wicked like the devil.
They wouldn't fool me for a minute. And when they had the question posed by our good guy there, Lawson, directly, and the question was asked directly to Abba, and we all knew the answer. He tried to pussyfoot around the answer, what we all knew was coming. As long as Eric Evil is in charge of anything, tell yourself that vindictive meanness with him will prevent him from doing anything in favor of 2020 Vision or anybody that opposes CCM. You use the word disappointed and unfortunate. I mean, I got some adjectives that I can't say online, but I think people know where I'm coming from. All right? And anybody out there in radio land, in internet land, in social media land can look at this incident and think that it is okay to discriminate publicly against a radio station simply because they don't hear views that are in your liking. We are not speaking untruths. We are bringing the unvarnished truth to the people about what's happening in this country. There are other non-political programs. As a matter of fact, there are more non-political programs than there are political programs. There are only 3 political programs on this platform. And you have broadcasting 7 days a week. Well, how can you configure an argument to justify this? To say this is an opposition radio station, when you're having such a broad band of presentations across the island, from contributors across the island. How can you do that? And how can anybody in their right mind, having heard what Carla just said about the lack of support for 2020 Vision, turn around and support Culturama 50? I can't do it.
Well, you can't, but over the years, this station promotes Culturama. I've heard Pat encourage people to participate, JD encourage people to participate. I have heard the leader of the NRP encourage people to participate. I have heard Colin Powell encourage people to participate. And so from this side and from this station, persons who have shows on this station encourage people to participate, come home and get involved in it. But you see, when you have a government led by a man who believes that as long as you're not with me, I'm going to destroy you. I'm not going to make sure everything within my power that I can use to keep you down or to destroy. This is what we're going to have.
You see, these are personal choices, and I understand the position of those who are supporting Culturama. It's a big event, blah, blah, blah. Me personally, I can't do it. I can't. It was bad enough before, it's worse now.
Okay.
Then you're going to spit in my face and tell me, show up anyway. I can't do it. That's a personal choice. And so I recognize and I support all those who want to participate. Me personally, I would.
All right.
Let me go back and play some of the clips.
That caller left. Callers, be patient. Our numbers are 869-469-1616-1700. We are talking Culturama, so if you want to chime in, feel free to call in at any time. Okay, I apologize. Okay, we have the caller back online. Good evening, caller. You're live and on the mark.
Good evening, Eric.
Yes.
Good evening to Swain and Abu.
Good evening.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that Culturama is really supposed to be for everybody, all division. And for the past few years, I've realized that because I work at one of the other major radio stations in Nevis, 2020 Vision Radio. And I realized that we've been locked out of Culturama. And what I'm wondering if we're going to be locked out of Culturama for this 50th anniversary as well. Meaning that we won't be able to carry the programs, we won't get to do the interviews with the contestants, the Queen Show contestants, Calypsonians, and the like. We also have a very large audience and following. And those people would want to actually have, feel the Culturama and feel the vibes from the radio station that they listen to. But what I've noticed over the years, 2020 Vision Radio, for whatever reason, has been locked out of Culturama. So what I'm wondering if we're going to be included, seeing that this is the 50th anniversary. We are supposed to be trying to be inclusive. We are supposed to be trying to bring Nivians together, despite of whatever differences we have. If we are going to be included within the programming of the Culturama, can we carry the programs? Are we going to be airing some of the ads and so on and so forth? And I'll just listen off here, okay? Thanks.
Okay, and I think I know who that caller is. And as you said, we at the Culturama Committee, we are all inclusive. And so what I can say is that at present, we are putting together the things that we would want to the different media houses around St. Kitts and Nevis to do for Culturama. And very shortly, we will be engaging the different media houses, and so I cannot make any commitment to you as of now, but rest assured that we are going to, as much as possible, try and be all inclusive in terms of promoting Culturama for Culturama 50, because we want to spread the word in every nook and cranny around the island of Nevis and beyond the shores of Nevis. So, just be patient with us. We will be finalizing our promotional packages shortly, and who knows? Just keep your fingers crossed.
Okay.
Abo, I know you. I call you a friend. I don't want you to ever disrespect yourself by going that low way again, because I'm sure that you knew when you made that statement that there was no way in hell that the government was going to include 2020 in whatever they were doing. I'm sure that you knew up to that point, Abo, that the government had already finalized its package and that they had no intentions of including 2020. But it's not just 2020, because I know a very good program on Real Entertainment Network. They come on every Tuesday and they do a lot of good stuff. And they had some concerns too. Let me share the concerns in case you didn't hear it.
Culture, I'm going to give you any space for advertising, the topics, Real Entertainment, get any reach out.
You didn't hear me beg earlier? I had to beg earlier.
And that's how come I was letting them know. That's how come I was letting them know that I'm a top fan. of Nevis Culturama on Facebook. You understand? So they need to reach over here. And because Abo had said that the packages are going to be rolled out shortly, and I had forget when y'all was speaking because y'all was saying politics shouldn't get involved and all that kind of thing. Listen, I live in the real reality, you know, so I understand that politics don't get involved. What I am saying to those who are in charge is don't be stupid, don't be a dummy. Even if politics involved, banking is a way to do it, you know?
That, right?
No, but not even that. Say you got a big package, and the big package is $10,000. Even if you're not gonna send the $10,000, we send $3,000 now. Send $2,000.
Of course.
But send something so that you know look, so that Alan can look in. And easily said.
Let me see this card.
And next time I want you and Tulu pull me back. We ain't even do about the greetings. That's so vex. But when you don't make the statement, we're gonna go to the about the greetings.
I don't want to swear. I promise Joan over there in Bath that I'll try to control myself. I promise a lot of people.
My mother too.
And your mother, your dear departed mother. But Abba full of shit. Abba Natty is full of shit. And I'm sorry, Joan, but I had to say this one. Because I never see a big man kowtow like he's doing or like he has done to Eric. And the government, you are the director of Culturama. It is your call to say who you want to carry, not the ministers. I mean, when do these guys grow some balls and say, listen, I ain't standing here and allow those in the opposition to be discriminated against. This is our taxpayers' money too. I'm paying taxes. I paid $2,000 today in taxes. You understand? And it bothers me that we are having this kind of kunamuna people like Abba and them there running the show, afraid to take a stand when they know it's wrong. When they know it's wrong, this is simple. It is wrong. And me ain't gonna cut no words with them and say it's I understand and it's unforgettable. No, it's BS. I mean, Abba should be ashamed of himself to be associated with this. He's long in the tooth in Culturama. Everybody associate Abba with Culturama. When things go bad, they blame him. When things go good, he get the praise. But this is a dark day, Abba. This is a dark day, Abba. That you allow this whiner man to tell you how to run Culturama. It's a dark day. It's a shameful day. When you have to, come to this level where you're lying to the people about packages, when we decide. You don't decide long time.
The instruction would have been sent down.
Long
Nothing
time.
for 2020.
Long time. I don't have anything personal against Abba. I mean, we greet each other when we see each other. And next time I see him face to face, I can have some words for him. So you better stay clear from me. Anyway, we got birthdays to do.
Yeah, Abba is my friend. Long time friend. And I'm sure that his parents didn't raise him this way. Abba, don't make them make your soul go to hell. You hear? I want to see you when we all get to heaven. We're not going to sing it only, but we want to go up there as well. Birthdays and anniversaries. Curtis Tatix Doe plays with the Masters, is celebrating today. Harlick and Lisa Doran, that's Rhonda's daughter and her son-in-law, celebrating anniversary today. Tomorrow, my old neighbor Kim is celebrating her birthday. And then I'm going to overlap. We don't normally go to the next week Thursday. But next week Thursday, my very special godmother, Anita Nisbet, will be making 90 years old.
It's worth it.
Wow.
And so, gentlemen, if I come a little late next week, that is the reason. I'm going to be celebrating with my godmother. She has always treated me like a real son and not just a godson. So those are what I have on the list. I don't know if anybody put anything on the board. And while I'm there on the mic and before we sing, let me say greetings to my sisters by Maria's side, Mary and Glenda and Mervet. Hope that you and your families are doing well. And my brother and his wife over there in Tortola. And my brother and his wife over there in Cotton Ground. Saying greetings to all of you. And as usual, let me say good evening to all of you. Listen, this every week I find somebody new who tells me that they listen religiously on a weekly basis. And so I want to greet all of you. And then I'm going up the Mount Lily Road to say good night to Postman and Mrs. Jeffers. So those are who we have on the birthday list.
Well, I have two.
Okay, let's add those. And then when we come back, we go on the bereavement list.
This is a personal list because my eldest son, Jafar, celebrated yesterday.
Wow.
And my eldest daughter, Carissa, celebrated yesterday.
Wow.
It was not planned. Both of them boys.
You could tell me that. I don't believe. I think you look at the calendar and you work out the maths.
Scientist.
I'm not that good. So I want to wish my son, well, I know he had a wonderful time. And my daughter, of course, she zogged me all my money to get beautied up. But I will give her the world, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Shiga Music Festival tonight?
I don't think so. I think perhaps she's more into the Friday, Saturday kind of scene. You know.
Okay.
She now turned 17, so she's up there.
Happy birthday to you both. Let's sing. We got reason to sing tonight. Special reason.
All right. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may live to be 101 and also 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Thank you very much. And when we come out of that, we go to the condolences. And my good friend Doreen, she lost her son.
Yes.
Doreen there in the post office. She lost her son this week. Brutally too, murder number 17 here in Nevis. And then we heard of the passing of Becky Nanton. Becky, her dad and one of her brothers, at least one of her brothers, worked with me in public works.
Three
brothers. Okay. Yeah. And I know Becky as well worked at Legal, and Alan worked with her for a period. And then Stedroy Brand, Minister Spencer Brand's son, lost a daughter. You know, so we want to reach out to all of those persons and wrap our arms of love around them and wish them well. Okay, we already started the show even before we did this part of it. Let's go to something from last week. You know, CCM campaigned on fair share, and the way they were talking about fair share, you swear to all God that they would have moved heaven and earth to ensure that there was fair share. All of us know that they spent 7 years down there in the cabinet. Mark Brantley is on record now as being the only man who the people of Nevis sent to the cabinet in St. Kitts, and he is proud to say he was out a door on a stone sitting down. So it's like you send a child to school and he down in the gut. We sent him down to St. Kitts because he campaigned on fair share. He gonna box off Timothy Harris, he gonna punch off Denzel Douglas, kick them up and so on, because he must get fair share to come to Nevis. And the people of Nevis seem to have liked the story. So send us down to St. Kitts, all three of us, and we're going to give you fair share. Well, at his last press conference, he was asked a question about fair share.
CBI revenue on the fair share issue, I do not have a report on that. My last meeting with the Honorable Prime Minister, he has promised that we will meet to discuss and finalize that. In fact, it is an agenda item for us on the next joint cabinet. We should have had that joint cabinet already. Regrettably, through travel and availability, we're having some issues finalizing a date, but I know that the two cabinet secretaries are working on that. And I am hopeful that we certainly will be able to come back this year with an announcement in relation to that, because I reflected that it the very first letter that I wrote to the Honorable Prime Minister Drew, which is his first day at work as Prime Minister of this country, that I raised that as the number one issue. And that was almost 2 years ago. So August is going to make 2 years. And so he has given me a reassurance that the matter is attracting the correct attention, and I intend to follow with him on that so that we can bring some resolution to that vexed question for the people of St. Kitts and for the people of Nevis.
Gentlemen, how can it be such an important issue to Mark Brantley and the people of Nevis? That is the first letter that he wrote to Prime Minister Drew. He did not tell us if he wrote a letter to Prime Minister Timothy Harris. He didn't tell us whether or not he made a presentation in cabinet about fair share. Timothy Harris said he never did. Timothy Harris made a statement and said he never brought the fair share argument to cabinet. But here is this man telling us in 2024 that this matter was so urgent and important in the elections of 2015 that he campaigned on it. Next year is going to make 10 years since they have been shouting about this fair share argument. It is critical. It is urgent. But when asked the question, I do not have an update on that. I mean, when you listen to statements like these from Mark Brantley, it just irritates your spirit.
Well, it's nonsense what he's talking about. I mean, total nonsense. Absolute rubbish. I mean, he is in the Far East right now with the Prime Minister, along with the former Prime Minister Douglas, along with the Cabinet Secretary, along with other functionaries of government who can make decisions, who can have a conversation. So I would have expected him to say, listen, when we are on that flight, that long flight to Dubai, and when we get down and touch down in Dubai, we are going to meet at a sidebar over breakfast or dinner or lunch with the Prime Minister and hack out this thing. It's 2 years in the making. But more to the point, that he has failed in responsibility to discharge what he said he needed to do to protect the interests of Nevisians. He said, send us all three to Bastille and we will shake the apple tree and see what falls out. 2 years later, the biggest apple has not fallen out the tree, which is fair share. And
9
so,
years later.
you know, it's a failure on his part, because, you see, he is looking favoritism from the Prime Minister, because he has not produced for the people of Nevis. So he cannot go into cabinet, into Parliament and raise the issue of fair share for fear that on one hand he might get slapped, and the other hand he's begging with. And so you are in a difficult spot where you can't bring issues that are of importance to Nevisians as the Premier of Nevis. And so you sit there like a bump on a log, and the other two bumps on the log, there is them there, Zook and Eric, can't broach the subject either. And so you have compromised the position you've held about defending Nevisians, and have done nothing about fair share. You know, and you are allowing the Prime Minister to get away with murder with regard to this. Because remember, the Prime Minister said the World Bank has done their study, is taking this under advisement, and they're going to present a report. In less than in 6 months, if memory serves me, in 6 months, the Prime Minister was able to get a forensic audit done of Development Bank and determined that $20 million can't be accounted for. A full forensic audit, which takes a lot of time, 6 months. And you're trying to tell me that if the Prime Minister is so diligent enough to get a forensic audit done on National Development Bank, so diligent enough to have reformed CBI, to get all the safeguards put into CBI that were missing, to have done all this infrastructure work and think it's done everything, design, smart hospital, do all these things, wonderful things. Revise the step, revise the PAP, all these things he has done. And you're trying to tell me the one thing that he said he going to do about Nevis and fair share, he ain't do yet? And that is acceptable? How can any leader of the opposition, who just happened to be the Premier of Nevis, think this is untenable, that this is logical, and I'm going to wait until the Prime Minister take his time and do it without raising it in Parliament?
But listen to this, Daly, and Tulu, sorry, but listen to this.
The question of the fair share, no one for the card has ever brought to the cabinet the issue of the fair share. There is no cabinet submission, no cabinet memo in relation to that. There have been public expressions of it, but it has never come into the cabinet over which I preside up to this particular moment.
And he sat in the cabinet with Timothy Harris for 7 years, not 7 days, not 7 weeks.
But it was not important to him.
But it was important when he was looking for votes.
Well, because he's looking for ways, only what benefits him he's interested in. Okay?
But this would have benefited him and it benefited the people of Nevis. The problem he has is that he's totally inept in making sure that he discharges his responsibility, and he gets confused whether his major role is a Premier of Nevis or leader of the opposition or some kind of... Listen, this guy runs the government off of Facebook. Anybody who runs the government off of Facebook can't be serious. Can't be a serious leader. Because the things he's asking, and we're going to get into it because I think he's on the program, the things he's asking people to do through Facebook posts is ridiculous. Things that he should be standing up for in Parliament, he's deferring to Facebook and his press conferences. What kind of leader is this? Who does this? Which other leader you know in the Caribbean directs their country from Facebook, from the internet?
When I want you or Carlisle, and it's important that I get you. If I send a text message and 2 seconds after I don't get a response, I jump on the phone and I call. If I call on WhatsApp and I don't get you, I call direct. Why? Because I want to get you urgently. The Premier is saying that he wrote a letter to the Prime Minister 2 years ago on this vexing, all-important issue of fair share. 2 years the Prime Minister has not responded, and he just sat down upon his butt and waiting for the Prime Minister to respond. And you tell me that he's serious?
Can't be serious.
Can I be serious? My grandchild, when she wants something, she heck the life out of me. Daddy, can I get some drink out the fridge?
But it comes back to the point I was making. Unless we have constitutional reform which prevents the kind of conundrum we have now, where a sitting Premier is also the sitting leader of the opposition. He's also the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, which holds the government responsible for expenditure. Unless you have that division of powers, you're going to end up being compromised, and the Premier is compromised. He gets $5.5 million every month from the federal government. Is there any law that prescribes that? I don't think so. So if there's no law, what is there to protect that $5.5 million? Nothing. It hasn't been codified. So the Prime Minister tomorrow morning going to say, listen, I didn't make no deal with you.
And I send in the check late.
I sent in the check late. It has not been codified in law. It's a practice.
But he has gone to Taiwan twice with the Prime Minister. It's not a short flight. Daily, if I want to discuss a matter with you and we on a flight to London.
Best time. Because you know they're in first class.
Exactly. And the first class ain't exactly big.
Exactly.
But I'm going to be whispering when I go to book my seat. Listen, put me close to the Prime Minister.
Course.
And even if I'm not close to him, I'm going to stretch my legs. And I'm going to stand up by him and I'm going to say, Mr. Prime Minister, this fair share thing, he can't jump off the plane. I got him, he cannot go any place. This fair share thing, man, when we going to start it out, let's get a deadline. Let's do it by Culturama.
Yes.
I mean, the people from the World Bank, I could have get 2 fellows in 5th farm, not 6th farm, to work out fair share.
Of course.
Based on the ratio. X percentage for you, X percentage for me. Based on what's in the Constitution.
Of course.
But let me hear Drew on this question, and then we're done with the fair share for tonight.
The second question, can we have an update on the committee responsible for CBI proceeds, aka fair share for Nevis? Is this still on the federal government's agenda?
So let me say, the question, I think, at the depths of it is the fair share question.
Correct.
Since I came into office, I have sat with the FS and also communicated with Nevis that we have asked the World Bank to study St. Kitts and Nevis and to present to us a model for revenue sharing. I think that what it offers is to have a reputable, independent, expert organization to study it and deliver it to us, so that when it comes, whatever it says, it will bring a deep sense of impartiality and fairness to the outcome. So that is being pursued. And I would ask the FS for an update on that.
Just kicking the can down the road.
But here the thing, Dr. Joe was quite careful with his words.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he didn't say CBI, he said revenue sharing. Commission a study on revenue sharing. You know what that means? Everything. VAT, revenue, CBI revenue, any other revenue that we should be contributing to, all of that going to be as part of the agreement that the World Bank or whoever he says are going to be delivering to us. So it's not just a percentage population per rata basis for CBI. He's going after the whole thing. And so we're going to be waiting a long time for this report, because there is no urgency, and we have a premier who is not putting in the pressure to make it happen, and so we're going to be stuck for a while.
Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carlisle.
How are you tonight?
Tulu, and good evening, Dr. Daly. I am doing well. How about you?
I'm excellent.
Okay. So I'm listening to you guys here in this discussion, and I think you guys are missing one thing. When you pick up somebody and put them in a position, or you put children in a playground or whatever, and they don't know what to do, they have not a clue, what are you expecting them to do? And this is what's happening. We keep hearing, I keep saying this, I keep hearing about training programs. There are a lot of training going on for different departments and people and organizations. And the people who need to me the most training are those in the positions to move things forward. They don't know where to start. They got a name, but they don't understand what it means. They have a position, but they don't have a clue as to where to go with that to get things done. So that's the big problem we have. You cannot have people in positions who don't know what they're doing and expect them to do well. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, caller. I agree with you.
Well, Carlisle, there's the matter of the Constitution talking about revenue sharing is there for all to see. It's supposed to be a population per rata basis, 25%, 75%, or whatever, something close to that value. So this is not a very difficult exercise to tabulate. I mean, there are professors at CFB, there are professors at here at Sixth Form College. There are persons in the community who are versed in accounting, and I appreciate that what the Prime Minister said. He needs an impartial person from the World Bank or whoever it is. But if you're really interested in expediency and fairness, we have the same concern. We're not saying we want it to be unfair, but certainly what we want to have this thing resolved. And 2 years into a new term for a new Prime Minister is too long a time to have this thing further festering. And the urgency that I saw with the government of good governance, this is also a good governance issue. How can this not be a good governance issue? We're talking about fairness to an entire population of people. How can this not be a good governance issue? We talk about anti-corruption bills, we talk about freedom of information bill, integrity of public life. Fine. Those are all good. But topping all of those things is the fairness to divisions and petitions about how this revenue should be shared, especially CBI revenues. Especially that. It's the ultimate good governance agenda item, in my view. Because how else are we to proceed as a federation if one don't trust the other one to do right by them? How we are to trust the Prime Minister to look out for the best interests of Nevis when the most important thing to divisions is left hanging on the vine?
Don't make sense.
Don't make no sense.
Let's take this call. Good evening, call.
Good night, Joseph Ferry. Good night, Carla. Good night, Philip. Good night, Daily.
Good night.
Good night.
No, I heard you all play a clip there from the Prime Minister. And I think you all need to underline that clip. What he said, was quite clear. That they're asking the World Bank to look at the financial situation between St. Kitts and Nevis. It's not as simple as it sounds, because there are certain things I think it's done on behalf of Nevis. You have the police, you have the customs, you have some areas in tourism, you have foreign affairs, and right now we're not really paying for them. When those things are calculated, and when the amount of money that we get from CBA is calculated, there's no guarantee that we would not be getting less rather than more. Maybe the Premier really does not want to go down that road, because down that road is dark and uncertain. And he might find himself financially responsible for certain activities that he's not paying for now. That can be the situation. And I think Prime Minister Joe has been very clever in switching it from fair share in terms of CBI to the overall financial situation. And there is no guarantee either that it is going to be on the basis as it is in the Constitution, because that changes according to the population. Let's take the VAT, for instance, and you can't just calculate the VAT like that, because divisions are buying from St. Kitts. Division businessmen do business with imports through Kingston houses and financial houses and some business houses and so on. So it can be very complex. As small as you are, it can be very complex. And it is going to take time. If it is being done at all, it's going to take time. And we here in Nevis, our leadership might be trying to walk it down the road, to slow walk it down the road. So I want you all and the people of Nevis to understand that it's not as simple as he's making it. He has opened that kind of worms, and maybe the Prime Minister has helped him open that kind of worms, and that is where we are. It's going to take serious consideration. And you know what? I believe that we need to have some form of constitutional reform to help us with some of these problems that we have. In terms of a long-term solution, that is what we need to do. We don't have to change the whole constitution, but there are certain areas of it that needs to be examined, and that areas that need to be reviewed, and perhaps changes that may in the interest of the two countries. Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, and he's absolutely correct. The experience of former Premier Joseph Parry. I'll tell you something that jumps out. You see, this VAT sharing where Nevis decided to hold on to all the VAT that is collected on Nevis and not participate in the overall VAT sharing arrangement, we're losing millions.
Of course.
Millions.
I think Dr. Bartlett did a calculation. It's quite a bit of money. But let me say something quickly in response to former Premier Parry. National security issues, that obligation was put in the Constitution to be handled by the federal government. It has nothing to do with CBI at all. We are talking specifically about revenue that comes in, recurrent revenue that comes in because of CBI, which is the sale of our passport, our patrimony. All right? And so while I appreciate the fact that there are obligations that the federal government has to take some responsibility onto themselves for national defense, for some aspects of tourism and etc., those things predate CBI. And so there's no obligation for the federal government to look at those things and say, well, because we pay for security, we're going to deduct that from what you should get from CBI. No. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that one bit. All right?
You don't agree, but it seems as if that the Prime Minister is saying that all revenues that comes into the Federation Secret Navies, he wants to codify all of that to come to a revenue sharing agreement.
But then what? Navy's going to pay for his own security from that money we get? No. It doesn't change that.
I don't know.
It doesn't change that. It doesn't change that. The government, the federal government, are based on the Constitution, takes on the responsibility of security. Of security. It did not say the security going to come from CBI money. No. Wherever the money comes from, it came from.
There was no CBI then.
No. And the point is, though, right, is that it is a complex matter because the government has taken on the responsibility of paying for PAP on both islands, STEP on both islands, whatever it is. But that's small in comparison to the revenue stream that comes in from CBI. That's small in comparison.
I want to suggest.
So we spend about, $30 million a year on social safety net programs. I mean, you're bringing in $540 million a year in CBI. You're giving us $66 million a year from CBI. How can this be a good look? And I brought up the issue of fair share to a good friend of mine who works in finance. And I was told, listen, maybe Brantley's, like the Premier said, Parry said, maybe Brantley's afraid that if he pushes this thing and he realizes, boy, I'm on the short end of this stick, then what? And the person said to me, how do you know that we are not already getting our fair share? Listen, this is more than just figuring out the quantum. This is putting an elephant to bed. People need to know, one way or the next, where this fair share matter lies. Because without settling it, it's going to always lead to distrust, mistrust, bad-mindedness, political football, everything. It has to be put to rest. And the only way to get it to rest is to finalize the report, codify the result, and get it done.
8:50, first night of the music festival in St. Kitts. I'm a little bit old now. I'm not going. I'm not going to tell you a lie.
I think I hear you saying that you're catching the boat next boat.
Not me.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safest solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Welcome back to Tell Me, and let me slide something up here one time so we can have it on our screens for those persons who like to see on their big screens. This week, Premier Mark Brantley, I've never met a more idle man. He sent out this: as Premier of Nevis, I am asking for your opinion and feedback on Nevis as you see it in 2024. What are some of the successes and challenges that you see? And what ideas can you share to help us better develop our island? Let's have a candid conversation. And immediately somebody responded, finish the Oli port, finish the fire station in Newcastle, start doing some work on the airport, finish the hospital, and a whole litany of things that they sent out. But I went back in the library and I found this little nugget This is all I would tell Mr. Brantley.
Half a minute.
Well, half a minute. Anyway, I think that Dr. Bartlett hit the nail on the head. Those who went to the people with a promise to deliver investors and jobs and projects and the like should be held accountable. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
And if you can't deliver, get out and let somebody else do it.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Brantley is a colossal failure. When you write the history of Nevis, unless it is one of his lackeys who is paid to write history and to try to embellish him for what he is not, people would realize that Mark was just a waste of space. He's like the story where the emperor was naked, he had no clothes. But he has managed to convince people that he is as bright as the midday sun on the longest day of the year when the sun is up there shining down on us.
Carlisle
It's a waste of space.
Carlisle Powell, you were a cabinet minister in the Joseph Parry-led government from 2006 to 2012. E. Roberto Hector was a minister of agriculture. You had Henry Daniel, deputy premier, minister of health, social welfare, and all those things. You had excellent people.
Who knows? Who knew?
And I've never heard of you, Hector, Mr. Parry, or any other member of that team go on social media and say, I give up. I want ideas. Help me with some ideas here. This is crazy. This is ludicrous.
So you're saying this is another time he's saying that he gave up? He said he gave up.
This is a surrender. You have a cabinet that you picked. You picked Spencer Browntown in Charlestown.
Can't help me.
Can't help. And not one bump on the log. You picked Troy Leibert.
Can't
help me. You picked the young girl Nisbet.
Cannot help me.
Mr. Premier,
so
you have picked a team of people that are not but bumps on a log. They can't help you, and you can't help yourself. We have time and time again on this very platform and on social media, on Facebook, we have pointed out to you things you need to do, but you ain't listening. But every time you get in a jam and you want to get sympathy, you run on your bully pulpit and say, oh my goodness, I want to hear your ideas. We have given you the fisheries complex in your hand. We gave it to you on a plate. We gave you the oil storage terminal on a plate.
Poultry.
We gave you so much things on a plate. We give you ideas. Can't done.
The South Coastal Road.
And all you do is spit in our faces. And now you're on social media looking sympathy, talking about if there's something you want to say about how we can improve, let me know. And every time we say something, you ignore us. Because.
Old.
I'll be stupid, I'll be old. I'll be go sit down. I'll be not walk no way.
I'll thief.
All kind of things. He went, when he was talking about housing, brought poor TDC, showed TDC in the deep end, making it seem like TDC don't want to invest in Nevis in housing. When it was a complete opposite. He didn't want to give the concessions to make it possible. All right? So he has these ways of going out there seeking sympathy from the all the people on Facebook. He is a Facebook premier. That's why he fights his battles on Facebook. He doesn't go to Parliament to pass legislation to say, listen, we are going to pass a bill to grant whatever happening, to give concession to small, whatever it is. No. He gets and put out this stupid post about, help me here, I'm sinking. The ship is sinking. Help me here. Come on.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Well, then, if all of these things is true, well, let me ask him to leave. And if you don't want to leave, let me make him leave. Good night.
Thank you very much.
But the caller got a point. Any self-respecting leader, either one should have resigned. And listen, I've seen the lady from New Zealand resign on a dime. I've seen leaders in Australia and England resign on a dime with one little failure. Sometimes it's just a miscommunication and they resign out of respect for the office. that they hold. Not for because they don't feel they can fight and win, for the respect of the office. To them, the office is so important. It's a holy grail. And so when you have a person holding on to for the office for dear life and not producing, it's an insult to the office of the Premier in this case. Insult. So he really should step aside. But then the people of Nevis, having been through the gamut of bad experiences with this man, should be out there demanding he resign. And his cabinet should follow him. Because the level of poor performance is documented. You cannot run from it. The legacy this man has left is one of failure, not success. Look at all his failures, costing us money, 500 million in grants from the former community government, 500 million and another 500 million in debt. How do you get these things say? How do you get these things say? $1 billion spent since 2015 to 2022. It's closer to 1.5 billion by now, and we are in a predicament that he can't explain how we got here. And I would like any one of his supporters, any one of them, to debate the issue. Since they're defending this man tooth and nail, I don't want him to defend it with emotion. I don't want him to defend it with any, visceral argument. I want him to come with the facts. What in Nevis has cost $1.5 billion of our money to be spent for 12,000 people? How do you get your head around that? And that's the point that I'm trying to raise with people out there in the diaspora, people out there in social media and all that. Ask the Premier the hard questions. He is your soldier. He is your God. Ask him to account. Not just be emotional and say, boy, Daly and Kyle and Tulu, the hours that cost the Premier. Well, defend with facts and stats. That's all you have to do. We come with facts and stats every time. Well, bring yours. And let's have an academic, cerebral argument about the progress of this country, the success and failures of this country, and see who is leading the success or failures. And then we could have a closure on this matter. But the caller is right. Any self-respecting man should walk away from this and say, I've done enough.
So you're saying there are no successes because he wants to know about the successes?
Yeah, of course there are successes. The successes are failures. He has succeeded at failures. I've never seen anything like this. His greatest success is failure. He get an A in that.
Daily, I like that. Listen, we want to, based on that, because the man has run out, well, I don't think he ever had ideas, but he's now asking you for your ideas. Let us take a look at the increase in salary that Mark Brantley has given himself. And I want us to go back and look at something, because I've heard him say on more than one occasion that they did not give themselves any increase in salary for a long period of time. I have a chart in front of me. The NIA minister's salary from 2014 to 2024. And in 2014, the Premier was making 138,480. And the ministers were making 115,140. 2015, the Premier's salary had moved to 148,320, and the ministers were making 123,360. By 2016, the Premier had gone to 149,460, and the ministers had gone to 127,080. And by the way, I am absolutely sure I have this graph. So thinking about it, let me just play the ad quickly so I could find the graph and so you can follow me on the screen as well.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Okay, I didn't quite find what I was looking for, but I'll continue nonetheless so you can see. 2017, I did that. 2018, Premier was making 149,460, Ministers 127,080, and that continued down until 2023. When the Premier moved to 164,520 and the ministers were making 139,800, and that obtained until 2024. Now I'm going to put that aside for a minute because I want to come to something else. I want to come to what happened down in St. Kitts with the increase, and there's a salaries review commission which did some work and had something on the table since 2019. But let me tell you, because when my people who understand the accounts very well looked at it, they told me that what was revealed was not quite accurate. It was a little bit deceptive, because the argument is that the difference, the percentage difference, should be between the old salary and the new salary. And that is not exactly what was reported to us. So, for example, we were shown that the Governor General was moving from 12,660 to 18,850. And that difference was 33%. But when my people worked out the maths, they said that amounted to more like 48.89%. Not the 33% that was reported. The Prime Minister's increase was shown as 21%, when in reality that was 25.93%. Deputy Prime Minister was shown as 22%, when it really should be 28.64%. The Attorney General, his figure was shown as 26%, when in reality it was 34.39%. The Ministers of Government, their increase was shown as 22%, when in reality is 28%. Let me go all the way down to the Leader of the Opposition. His increase was shown as 28%. In reality, he took home 35.71% increase. And the other members of opposition, like Eric and them, their increase was shown as 19%, when in reality, that is, they receive a 38.79% increase. So I don't want you to feel sorry for them, because right after that, what did Mark Brantley do? Mark Brantley has gone ahead and given members of Parliament here in Nevis a 15% increase. I want you to remember this increase in that we, the other people who work for government or worked, people like me and Daly who get in a little pension, we were told you're going to get yours in bits and pieces. You're going to take 5%, we'll give you another 5%, and then we'll give you another 5%, because you can't count money. So 15% too much at one time is too much. The government broke, the government ain't got no money. But what did Mark Brantley and his other members of Parliament did? They gave themselves a 15% increase on top of the increase that they received down in the federal Parliament. And they took it at once. Theirs could not be 555. They took it at once. So I want you to hear what the Constitution says. And if you have your Constitution, grab it and let's go to chapter 6, section 69, which deals with finance. It says that all revenue or other monies raised or received by the government, not being revenues or other monies that are payable by or under any law into some other fund of the government established for a specific purpose, shall be paid into and form a consolidated fund. Let's go to 71. No monies shall be withdrawn from the consolidated fund except, and I want to look at A, to meet expenditure that is charged upon the fund by this constitution or by any law enacted by Parliament. See the role of Parliament? Let's go down to subsection 3. No monies shall be withdrawn from any public fund of the government other than the consolidated fund unless the issue of those monies has been authorized by or under any law. Let me read again. Section 71. The minister for the time being responsible for finance shall cause to be prepared and laid before the National Assembly before or not later than 60 days after the commencement of each financial year estimates of the revenues and expenditure of the government for that financial year. And I'm reading that because I want you to know Daly has said it a million times and people still don't understand. These are what you call the estimates. Budget and the estimates. There is nothing in the estimates for 2024 that speaks to that 15% increase that Brantley and his people sat around a table in the cabinet room and decided to do the work of Parliament, because the Parliament is separate to the cabinet. You don't make law in cabinet. You got to go to the Parliament for that. Let me read section 73. If it appears to the minister for the time being responsible for finance that A, there is an urgent need to incur expenditure, or no provision exists for that expenditure, this is B, in any appropriation law or other law, and C, it would not be in the public interest to delay the authorization of that expenditure until such time as a supplementary estimate can be laid before the National Assembly. The minister may by special warrant authorize the issue from the consolidated fund of the monies required to meet that expenditure, provided that the total sum for the time being authorized to be issued under this subsection, for which no provision has been made by an appropriation law, shall not exceed such as amount as may be prescribed by Parliament. You see, it comes back to the Parliament, as may be prescribed by the Parliament. Now, Mark Brantley said that his cabinet made a decision to increase the salaries of members of Parliament. Mark Brantley had an obligation to prepare the appropriation warrant and take it to the Parliament for debate and discussion. Mark Brantley has failed to do that. He cannot arbitrarily get up and decide, listen, we're going to increase the salaries, but according to the Constitution, he did not have the authority so to do. But yet still he went ahead without the approval of Parliament and granted a 15% increase. What is the authority on which he has increased his own salary and the salary of the members on his side? And just to not make it look bad, include the Speaker, include the Clerk, include the members of the opposition. Where's the authority, Dr. Daly and Tulu? I'm trying to find it.
There's none.
There's no authority. But one question. Does the legal advisor sit in cabinet?
Technically, no.
Technically, no.
No. But the matter could have been easily referred. But he's a lawyer. He's a practicing lawyer.
He don't know the Constitution.
You must have that enshrined. You must have a golden copy on your desk to make sure you're not in breach of the Constitution when you make decisions. But this is a no-brainer. You can't be in the executive and still be in the judiciary, and you still be in the we call it now, the Parliament. It's a separation of powers, and so you can't determine your own salary. It doesn't work like that. So tomorrow he can get up and say, I need another 35%. and he'll have another 15% next month. He must be stopped.
In a dictatorship, you can't do it.
Well,
we under a dictatorship.
This is not dictatorship. We have a parliament. He may act like a dictator, but we have a parliament. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to say much, but he will have to answer to this.
Okay.
He will have to answer.
He
will have to.
Let me remind you of something, gentlemen. When I served in the cabinet of Joseph Walcott Parry, we discovered that CCM over the period 1993 to 2005 had chalked up $164,461,376.20 in appropriations without going to cabinet for its blessing.
Without going to
parliament for its blessing. And let me read them so that people could understand that this is a habit of CCM. In 1993, they had an appropriation for $4.3 million. In 1994, $4.3 million. 1995, $10.3 million. 1996, $5.7 million. 1997, $13.5 million. 1998, $13.5 million. 1999, $8.2 million. 2000, $13.8 million. 2001, $24.5 million. 2002, $13.5 million. 2003, $11.9 million. 2004, $18.2 million. And 2005, just before the election when they lost, $22.2 million. So they spent all of these monies, did not bother to go to Parliament to get the approval for any of this expenditure of $164.4 million. It's a habit.
So that's probably why Brandon believes is law, that they have the law on their side. But it's not law. And he will be challenged on this matter. He will be challenged, and he must be challenged. You cannot simply continue to abuse the people and think you can get away with it at infinitum. This madness must end. The Parliament is the one who approved the budget for 2024. Therefore, any changes in that budget, vis-a-vis any increased expenditure over what was voted on, the $279 million budget for 2024, something like that, any amount over that has to be approved by Parliament. You must go back and say, listen, we underestimated, or we had an emergency, we had a hurricane, we had an earthquake, it caused some damage, and therefore the money we had set aside for such occurrences isn't enough. And we therefore had to go back and get an appropriation, a supplementary appropriation. To get approval for that, you have to go to cabinet, to Parliament. And Parliament then will sign off and say, yes, we had a hurricane, we didn't account for the money, we did not account for the kind of damage, and we need money right away. But you cannot simply look at the 2024 budget and say, you know what, Parliament passed the appropriation bill, we have 200 plus million in there, nowhere in sight is the 15%, but you're going to stick it in there. Well, we're not telling everybody nothing. We're going to kind of, say cabinet says so, and you're going to sound official. But we're no different. Cabinet cannot give themselves a pay raise.
But cabinet did it already. Let me ask you a question. Garth Wilkin, he's the chief legal officer for Sinkit or Sinkis and Nevis. Sinkis and Nevis. Yeah. So then, as the chief legal officer, he should be abreast of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be aware that what the Premier of Nevis did was wrong?
We see, the thing about it is, there's no criminal penalty for these things. There's no criminal penalty for these.
But at least say something.
To who?
So listen, Mr. Premier, what you're doing is wrong.
Listen, the Prime Minister a few weeks ago, in defense of the CBI, said that he inherited a criminal enterprise in team unity government. That's what basically summarizing what he said. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but something along that line. That these guys who are running the government as a criminal enterprise.
That is what's taking place in Nevis.
Right, regardless of CBI. Right? So my question to the Prime Minister, if you believe that Team Unity government, which included PLP, CCM, and PAM, indeed were a criminal enterprise and, taking advantage of the CBI proceeds, etc., then why are you taking Brantley to Dubai alongside you as a statesman? If you believe this is a criminal enterprise that caused the headaches that we are now feeling with this Philip Martinez matter, why are you so close to the Premier? It's a logical question.
He was out in
I would not go. The harborer is just as bad as the thief, according to my mother. And if I don't rate you as being legal and upstanding, if you don't comply with the good governance agenda, why am I walking with you to go where with me? Are these just words that we're talking about good governance? Are we talking about honesty and accountability in government? When you have next door in Nevis, you have the charges that are being laid before the Premier and about the Premier, and you're going to walk with him on a state visit to Taiwan? I don't think so. So it must mean nothing to you as the Prime Minister. That was too much for you, Tulu?
And the Premier like to say you are guilty by association.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you are dealing with a crook, then you are a crook.
Well, me not go that far.
I'm just saying guilty by association. Well, so if you're not person is the crook and you harbor the crook, when you say what? Does that mean you're a crook too?
If your mother came home, like my mother used to come home from work, and if anything was at the place, she would notice right away. Mm-hmm. If there was a strange bike in the yard or anything, any piece of tool or anything like that, she would say, where'd that come from? And you better had a good explanation.
Get it out of here.
How was he gone?
Get it out of here.
My mother didn't tolerate crookedness or crooked people. You understand? And that's how I grew up. And so when you have a situation and she says, a man is known by the company he keeps. These are lifelong lessons, lifelong lessons. And so if the Prime Minister feels comfortable hugging up the Premier of Nevis, that's for him to deal with.
Not me, like the Premier.
Okay then.
And it's not the first time he has taken him to Taiwan.
Okay then.
So you can't say that the listener didn't take you one time. He has taken him twice.
Okay then. I have no further questions for the jury.
Let's look at some things which are very important to us that we want you to be aware of, and we're putting them on the screen. NRP will be having some events for Culturama, so we want you to be aware of those. You're coming home for Culturama, plan for a couple of events. I say a couple, boys, 4. On the 27th, there will be a grown and groovy dance. So bring your shoes, bring your dancing clothes. We're having a grown and groovy dance on the 27th of July. On the 27th and 28th, all the people who are always talking about dominoes and feel they can play, there will be a domino competition. So get ready for that.
That's why you practice so hard?
No, man, I don't have to practice for that.
It's natural.
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 I was an instructor at 13.
Okay then.
On the 1st of August, NRP will have a meet and greet with returning nationals, and something else big that will be happening on the 1st, we will be drawing the raffle. I still have a couple of tickets left. Most of mine have gone. I probably will have to go back and get some more. But we'll be having a meet and greet on the 1st of August. And on the 4th of August, there will be an all-white cultural brunch. It's a good list of activities. I think that I will be attending all of those activities.
One thing is missing. You give all the activities.
Tolo talking to the mic.
You
Otherwise
gave
people
all
can't
of
hear.
the activities, but no locations.
The grown and groovy, that's at Lynn's, just there in I like to say Superfoods complex, just in the Best Buy complex. Okay. The domino competition is at Boko Park. The meet and greet is going to be down by the museum, the Sir Sim Daniel Museum.
Oh, okay.
That's where that will be. And the all-white cultural brunch, that one is at Occasions. And so remember those events, plan for all of those events. Some of my family members will be coming home, and I've already told them to put a little change aside so that they can come to all of those events.
Okay, give me the second, third, and fourth. You could leave out the first one.
You're not going to the grown and groovy.
So you could leave out that
I going groove for you. I'm grown, so I will take my groove to that one for you.
Make my groove done mash up long days.
So domino competition is on the
7th and 28th, Boko Park.
Boko Park. Meet and greet is on the 1st of August.
At the museum.
At the Sir Simeon Daniel Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the all-white
Cultural brunch. That one was good last year.
Occasion.
Very good last year.
Okay.
You know, so mark your calendars, those dates, and they're not expensive. Okay, we gonna come back right after this.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Welcome back to Tell Me, and let me slide something on your screen because it's something that I totally support. The Nevis Island administration, through disaster preparedness, is doing a project where I understand the plan is for all 7 international cricketers out of Nevis to have their portrait, and I hope some information on the park wall leading up to CSS. They have already started, I don't know if this is finished, 2 of them, and they're in the persons of the late Ronako Morton and Keith Atherton. I have a little challenge though. You see, I like when you're doing things that you involve the people who should know. To my mind, I thought that they would have put them in order, so that I expected to see El Comido Willett in position number 1. I expected to see Derek Parry in position number 2, and I expected to see Keith Atherton in position number 3. Ronako Morton is neither 4 nor 5. But what they have done, there are two areas which have not been done yet. So those are positions number 1 and 2. And so I suppose that Mr. Willett and Mr. Parry will go in those 2. But then you will lose the history. You will lose the story, because Keith Atherton should be in 3, not Ronako Morton. But they have decided, I don't know who they spoke to, I don't know why Mr. Morton is in 3, but I would have preferred if they had put them in their rightful positions. Mm-hmm. So you have Elko, who is number 1, you have Derek, who is number 2, you have Keith, who is number 3. But Ronako Morton, where he is out of order, and there is no way you can get it right now, unless you take out those 2 which are already done, mostly done. Exactly.
Paint them over.
I mean, if I were giving the instructions, I would tell them paint them over, because you must tell the history and it must be correct. You can't tell me that you're going to say, okay, Ronako is already in number 3, so leave him at number 3. But he's not number 3 in the chronological order.
So who's making these decisions?
I have no idea. I have no idea who gave the instructions. I know that it is being led by disaster preparedness. But I don't believe that Brian Dyer, who is also somebody who represented Nevis, would have told them to put them in that order.
Then maybe he should have. If you're leading, then lead. If you're leading, lead. It's simple. And this is how I want it done. Mm-hmm. You just don't say, listen, I want a picture on the wall. Good, you know. I mean, the artist is a good artist.
Excellent artist.
But he's not a historian.
No.
He has no interest in cricket that I know of. And so he wouldn't know from a cricket perspective what should happen. But there's a president of the Nevis Cricket Association, isn't there? I thought there was a president.
Yeah, but of course. And I was advised about it, but nobody. I just thought that they knew that it should be in sequence.
What?
Nobody asked me, and I have time on my hands. Good evening, caller.
Carlisle, are you telling us that this is happening and no one from the Cricket Association, no one with the history of cricket and all of that in Nevis is involved in making these decisions?
I was told about it. Nobody. I just assumed, since they didn't ask for an input, that they knew the chronological order and that it would be done in order. Nobody has told me if there will be a write-up, because I would like to see their names and a brief history, as in 1973, whatever the date and so on, and El Comido Willett and so on, 1978, Derek Ricardo Parry. Nobody has asked me anything about that. So I am observing just like the normal person on the street.
You mentioned disaster preparedness. This sounds like it's going to turn out to be a disaster.
No, I hope that they correct it. The whole idea is for them to have some disaster-related messages on the wall. And that as they include the cricketers on the wall as well. It is not my preferred location. If they had asked me where they should put them, I'm going to show where we proposed 20-something years ago.
Carlisle, that wall has been waiting for something to happen. God, I hope that we don't make a mess out of it.
Hope not.
Bigger mess, you mean?
It's
I hope not.
Waiting for something to happen. And I disagree with you a little bit. I don't think there would be a better place to make that statement with those persons anywhere else but that wall right there. It's been waiting to happen.
Okay.
And don't tell me that somebody gonna try to do it overnight and screw it up.
Okay, caller, look at this. I hope that you're able to see. Look at this. Thank you, caller. This was our proposal 20-something years ago. The back of the stand on Main Street, right there, the western stand. That is what we proposed. This must have been in the 90s. And we went to the government with the proposal and asked them, please put our international cricketers on this wall, which is on Main Street, is on the back of the stand. You don't have to be turning left to go up the high school road to see it. You just have to be driving on Main Street and you will see it. But let me tell you what happened when the Nevis Cricket Association made the proposal 20-something years ago. If you can read the red writing towards the left there, you notice you see VAPCO paints. When we made the proposal to the Vance Amri-led CCM administration 20-something years ago, I received a call from a friend of mine, and he said to me, listen, I like the proposal. He was not in the government. I don't know how the hell he found out about the proposal. I like the proposal, but what you think about including Premier Amri?
As what?
I said, just like you. As what? He said, well, he played for the President's 11. I said, and so what? He said, well, his picture should go up with the test players. I say, nonsense. And I use some colorful language as well.
Don't do it again.
Because I'm not going to do it tonight, but I use some colorful language. And I said, we're talking about our test players. We want them, and we want people to recognize them. We want school children going to school to say, I want my picture on the wall as a test player. How is it you're going to come to me and tell me that you want Premier Amri to be included and he's not a test player? And I said to him, I don't even think he can make an all-time Nevis 11. I know he can't make a Nevis all-time 11. I said, no, I disagree. Listen, within a week, the government gave permission for 3 sections of the wall to be used to advertise VAPCO paints. I had never heard of VAPCO paints before. I have not seen any VAPCO paints since. All I know is that the CCM administration gave permission for Vapco paints to advertise, and the sign is still there up to today.
And we never had any Vapco paints in Nevis.
And they refused to put up the test players on that wall because, as president of the Cricket Association, I said, no, Van Samwi, he's not a test player. So that is my preferred location. It was, it is, and it will be my preferred location, because you don't have to be turning the corner to go up to the school road to see them. You must see that. Anyway, we don't talk about that. Leave that as it is. Maybe if we had said yes to Vance, it would have been up. It would have been up already.
You should have said yes to Vance then.
No, I'm glad I said no.
Put him up and then take him down. After all the others went up.
At them at the government. But hey, fellas, I don't know about all you, but are you having the same problems with me as potholes? I live on the Port Road. Jesus Christ.
I have to use it all.
That road is awful. I mean, the other day I came down, I was taking some pictures, and I was just a little bit too late. Because when I came down, rain had just fallen, and some donkeys were there drinking water out of one of the holes. So they serve a useful purpose.
Okay.
You know. But Jesus Christ, the Port Road is falling apart.
No, not Jesus. Leave Jesus alone.
I want Jesus to fix it.
Call Spencer Brand.
I got my truck. The AC in my truck has a short. All right, and when I want to get AC, I drive on the Port Road because every time it drops in a pothole, the AC comes on. I swear to God. So if I'm really desperate for some AC, I go down the Port Road, and you can't miss, because you saw from one, you drop in the next one. I try not to drop in the biggest one. But lo and behold, once you see my left front tire dropping in the hole,
AC come on.
AC come on.
How long it's there?
Oh, until I drop another hole. So I try not to drop in another hole before I get back home. And then I have AC for a couple of days. The short comes back. I have AC again. I go back on the road and drop in another hole. So sometimes you think I'm joking? You know, I am not joking.
You serious?
I'm serious as a judge. I got witnesses. Every time I drop in a road, a pothole of significant size, my AC come on full blast.
Last a couple of days.
And it goes right back off. I need to take it to the mechanic to get the AC fixed, but I